Legends, welcome to Mezs Motorsport Mondays. Hope you're well. I won't be able to tell because unless you respond in the comments. Let us know if you're well. If you're not, you'll get through it. Just got back from 10 days in Big Launceston, Tasmania. What a beautiful part of the world. Really is. It's like Australia's New Zealand down there, Tasmania. So, yeah, absolutely beautiful part of the world. Freshest air in the world as well. That's a fact for you to take home. So, yeah, this year I'll be commentating the Drift League Tasmania series. So I was down there for round one, but I was lucky enough to be invited down by Brody to come down a week before and to perform demos in the SR Honey Bus at Race Tasmania. So that was super cool. So Brody's said a couple times now when I've been down there, hey, we need to get you in the S13, have some fun. But each time it just hasn't quite worked out. And yeah, so he thought, what better time to do it at the demos? So nothing like getting zero practice on a track you've never driven, in a car you've never driven, in front of some race-orientated go-getters. So yeah, first demo run was absolutely horrible. I was just sort of understeering my way around the park, was feeling it out. Second run, we started to get into it, but then it got red flagged because some knucklehead at race control was like, oh my God, they're going the other way. But he didn't neglect to do anything about that in the first run. So, yeah. And then after that, it was all above board. What I found funny is he came up and he goes, we thought we saw you go on reverse track and this and that, and we didn't make an error. Like, anyone who's so quick to say we didn't make an error, well, I think you made an error, brother. So anyway, but it was super cool. The SR Honey Bus, Disco Potato, pretty simple car, and boy, did it rock my socks. You know, you still had to drive it like an 8.6 a bit, but it had the pep in its step, and yeah, wow, why did we all move away from that? That's the recipe, I reckon. Simple Sylvias. Yeah, obviously a bit harder now in this economy. So maybe Simple Falcons. But yeah, it was an absolute treat. Third demo session, the pins. Now, I didn't forget the pins, but I copped a bonnet to the noggin, which was a bit of a helmet ringer. But yeah, the split pin on one side, and then it was one of those studs on the other that flips over. So the split pin actually got blown up like that. And that created enough leverage that the bonnet could just lift up on that side. And then because it lifted up that side and caught the wind, it simultaneously snapped the pin on the other side and then whammy straight into the head. So a lot of people are like, oh, geez, that would have scared the shit out of you. And I'm not trying to sound egotistical or like I'm a big tough dog, but it didn't. My immediate reaction was just, fuck, I need more laps. I need more laps. So yeah, the roof was a bit how you going, but Brody and Ben Pedder got it sorted. They rung up Beto. Beto got it done on a Saturday afternoon, and an S13 window in Launceston at that time. Like, we were extremely lucky to get it done. So I was able to get out there on Sunday and give it a red hot crack. Had some great runs. I kind of just stuck with Caleb because I felt comfortable following him, and yeah, we had some great runs. I spun out a fair bit on the back hairpin, and when we put the car up on the hoist, well, they forgot the 10mm spacer on the front, didn't they? So on lock, it was just grabbing, which I felt, but I was like, oh, maybe this is normal, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't back myself. I was like, well, if Connor Halligan could steer this to second place, then it should be good enough for me. But yeah, they forgot the 10mm spacers. So that was funny. Super cool part of the weekend was the final demo session. We just kind of were like, stuff it, we're going to send it. We weren't allowed to drift the sweeper all weekend, but final session, go for gold. And yeah, it was really cool. All the Trans Am drivers in the paddock gave us a big clap as we came through. And Barry Rogers was there giving us a big thumbs up. So yeah, that was pretty surreal. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it's always nice to, you know, the other side can acknowledge what's going on. So, yeah, super cool. And I bet they were probably watching the whole weekend going, why aren't these dudes drifting the sweeper? Jeez, what's going on? We couldn't, okay? We couldn't. So, yeah, that was that weekend. And then I was just going to spend a week in Launceston. No point flying back because then round one was the following weekend and I was going to be commentating that. So Was meant to have a little leisurely week in between. I haven't had a holiday in fucking like years. 5-6 years, I reckon. Like, definitely go away heaps, have fun and stuff, but it's all drift orientated. And don't get me wrong, it's fucking unreal, but it's not actually like a put your feet up, just forget work, forget everything affair. So I kind of wanted to do that in between, but leaving Sunday after the demos, the clutch. When I first got in the Sylvia, I was like, the clutch in this is a bit dicky, boys. Like, it's at the floor. But we made it work all weekend. And then, by the end of the weekend, it was well and truly didn't want to get in gear. We had a leisurely Monday. Brody took me on a romantic date to the gorge. Went to the zoo. So it was real nice and wholesome. Tuesday, we were like, we better sort that clutch. The theory was that it would be the master cylinder and slave. So we replaced that. And we thought we're all good. Put it off the hoist Tuesday arvo. And no. No, it wasn't good. So Tuesday night, Brody and I were like, fuck, like, what are we going to do here? We got Cascade coming. The decision was made. Let's pull that gearbox out. But the gearbox, I don't know, because some shit Brody done, you need to pull out the engine now as well. So it was an engine gearbox out scenario. So we got that out Tuesday night, and then Ben came in Wednesday. We sorted it out. After we pulled the engine and gearbox out, there was nothing that really stood out to us. Like, wow, yep, that's it. So I had the suggestion, let's go just take the clutch to a clutch shop, put it in a device where they can see if it's all clamping and working properly. The boys being the boys were like, yep, let's do that. Hang on a sec, we've got a press. Let's just use the press here. And it was in that scenario we found out that the pressure plate forks were sort of a little bit bent and it wasn't making a nice flat contact. All right, problem solved. Brody happened to have a SR pressure plate there in his backyard. It was a little bit rusty. It had been there in 2 years. A little of the rust. Put it back in. Wow, we're good to go. So, boom, that was lucky. Keske got in it, steered himself to second place. So super happy about that. But at the end of the weekend, the clutch went again. So that's a little scenario that needs looking at. The weekend, round 1, Tasmania Drift League. Let's talk about that. Absolutely just a ripper atmosphere. It's a great vibe they got going on down there. Some really shredders. Shout outs to Trent Palmer. He was on his way to like a easily 100-point qualifying run. So they were doing this run the wall layout. First time, water barriers on a layout. They've run heaps, but water barriers on the track edge, run the wall, adds a bit of flair and flavor. So Trent absolutely brushed the wall. It wasn't a push, it wasn't a stove, it wasn't millimeters off, it was perfect brush. And he got through it, and then just as he went to transition for the next apex, bam, the diff went. So I dare say he would have got number 1 place if that was the case, if he got through. Fletcher Pinner in the big R31 wagon threw down. He was top qualifier there for a bit until he got pipped at the end. Keske was second, but it was Logan Lovell who came through and got the top spot there. So, that was exciting there in qualifying. And then, just the event itself, some good battles. But obviously, the final battle, Logan Lovell, Keske Nagashima. So cool to see. Keske absolutely throwing in with pace because he knew he could trust Logan to keep on the good line. And, Keske just bombed it on in. But at the end of the day, Logan was too good. He just got it done. So really cool to see. And it was Logan's 30th birthday. Happy birthday, Logan. So that was sort of the thick of it, the info. Now let's talk some fun stories, hey? Obviously me getting hit in the noggin. Pretty funny. Minor headache, but pretty funny. All right, fun story. And there's actually really only one, to be honest. There's sort of only one funny story here. We got asked to sign a 15-year-old who was pregnant's stomach. And that absolutely weirded me out. And I didn't want to do that, but I also didn't want to say no to their face. So I just kind of weaseled off, said I was getting the other drivers, which I did. But then I snuck out of there and went to the toilet because, that definitely weirded me out. Interesting thing I noticed at the race Tasmania weekend, you got the Trans Ams, which if you don't know, low down V8 cat. on the slicks. Great racing to watch. It's one of my favourite series here in Australia. What surprised me was sort of the lack of the crowd. It's a great event, but people aren't going out to the track anymore. And what's the reason behind that? You look at a lot of old school motorsport in Australia, especially at these tracks, it's massive. Is it just a case people don't want to get out there because, it's being shown on television, which, arguably is the better place to watch it. You get a more idea what's going on at the race, but it's always cool being there and creating an atmosphere. Is it the promoter angle? Are they not doing enough? Is it not relatable because it is so expensive to get into motorsport now that, because back in the day, people were like, it's a road going Ford, a road going Holden. Do we need it completely stripped back where you just have road cars with roll cages, essentially? Just a bit of an odd one, and I don't get it. Obviously, the Drift League Tasmania Demos should have pulled a massive crowd, especially when I was announced as the guest driver. Nah. But, yeah, it just makes you wonder, what's going on with motorsport? Where are we heading? Because it's only going to get harder as we go on. Cars are getting weirder. Electronic, they're a lot more distant. You need a computer now to work on a car instead of just your flathead screwdriver to tune the cabbie. It's just, it's interesting. I don't have an answer, but something's sort of got to give, and I sort of think maybe we need to visit back to where we started. I've mentioned previously promoters want everyone, that's why Formula One, Drive to Survive, and subsequently every other motorsport series followed that behind the scenes angle because they want to try capture everyone. But, the Drive to Survive especially is creating bullshit because it's trying to sell a story, not the actual truth. So, it's a tough one, but it makes you wonder, where are we going? I personally think it's a great time for us to get back to basics and, get promoting what everyone fell in love with originally, which is at the heart, which is, the heart of driving, the motorsport. Weasel photographers, that's another note I mentioned. I've been around the tracks for about 15, 16 years now shooting, and it's weird. When I first started out, for instance, when I'd go out on track to shoot a Queensland Raceway morning session back in the day, there was very sort of few photographers. Casey Denham was one, shirts tucked in Casey. And we just got along like a house on fire. Just shooting the breeze, just talking stuff. And it was never, I'm trying to do better than him or he's trying to do better than me. But there was something I noticed when I shot, when I followed Team Risky Racing last year, which Aussie racing car, a lot of supercar rounds. There's this cliquey media crew. And the cliquey media crew kind of don't care so much about getting the best shot or trying to further themselves. They care more about their position and title. I'm a photographer media person at supercars. They that's what they get off on. And it's so evident in just the way they act. There was this one dude in particular who I won't name, but he was significantly older than me. Now, here's another thing as well. When I got invited out, I didn't reach out to anyone. I told Risky Racing what I do for a job, and they were like, yep, cool. Would you like to take photos and videos for us this season? Hell yeah. I never try to undercut or splice on in, but I do understand it's a dog-eat-dog world. And this guy, he called me pretty boy. What? Dude, maybe it was the Ray-Bans. But he at the track would try stand right next to it. Now, in photography especially, you're going to be cramming over each other at some stage. But it's kind of obvious when no one wants that photo spot and you come and stand right next to the person and brush shoulders with them. So on the weekend at Race Tasmania, I didn't have media because I was just doing demos. But there was one bruiser who I know who hit up the team that I was covering last year to do their media for him. Hey, dude, I know you've already got a media person, but would you prefer me? That shit, I think's snaky. But yeah, again, this is the scenario I'm at. I'm taking photos at Simmons Plains and just walk straight in front and just parks up there. So he claimed that it was just mistiming, but come on, brother. Even if it is mistiming, you got to be mindful of people all around, even if they don't have credit. Obviously, you come first and take the shot. You've got a job to do. I understand that. But it's not what you do, it's how you do it kind of thing, you know? So, yeah, there's definitely been... the prime example was another photographer who, again, was around the traps in that scene, a complete professional. He saw I was taking photos, ducked, and went for gold. So, weasel photographers, and that's just sort of... I'm going to tie into my next bit. It's weasels in general. And these people, you can tell, they act that way because they're insecure. They're insecure. That's why they're more focused on being a part of a clique and being a part of something than actually just like, I want to go out there and do the best photos and content I can. I want to push myself. The funny thing is, sorry, this is so disjointed. Hopefully this is making sense. But some of the photographers I looked up to in supercars that I got to be amongst, they were super cool, and you could tell they were just lone rangers, focused on their task at hand. They didn't care for making friends and whatnot. That's sort of what I'm about, you know? And in saying that, it makes it sound, they mustn't be friendly. Those two guys that I'm speaking of were the friendliest dudes ever. Yeah, Ross and Daniel, they were go-getters, and I think they take great photos. But weasels in general. So this is the next... what I'm getting to. Let's get back to the drifting. Judges. So let me just check the camera and make sure we're not going to go over time. You only got 10 minutes. Okay, we've restarted the recording. Judges. So, again, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus here, but yeah, there's some funny comments around the traps getting about, and just kind of better to address it out loud. So with drifting, there's judging. Okay? Now, as a judge, you sort of need to be a driver to understand what's going on. But to be a great judge, you don't have to be a driver. I mean, just like any sport, look at the head coach. Not all of them have played the game, but some of the greats, can get it done. But these people, the head coaches that haven't played, the judges that haven't drifted, you need your ego in check. I don't think you would ever have a head coach who's never played football be like, I could get out there and kick better than you. Give me the football. So there was some word around the traps that a judge of a series said to someone who's quite a big name and quite a champion, and said, chuck us the keys to the car. I could do better than you. And we're dead serious. You can't have that type of ego if you're being a judge. You just can't. So how these people get their positions in the sport, it's quite obvious. It's all a bit of dick sucking, a bit of, a bit of... it eats at my soul, because it's like, this isn't how we move forward, everyone. Choosing your friend over the person more qualified isn't the angle, okay? Now, whether that be judges or event organisers, people need their ego in check, okay? And there's, right now in some parts of drifting, it's always been the case. It's always been the case. But now I'm just over it, People need to be chin checked. Okay, so if you're a head judge and you're telling a 4 times champion that chuck the keys, you could do better, when I've seen you drive and you can't, sort it out, brother. Get in touch with reality. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. Or if you're an event organizer claiming that you're all for the sport, and you all want to push forward and work in unison, but then you fucking throw someone under the bus by saying, I wouldn't work with him. Not many people like him. Okay, now that's a little subliminal rant. You'll be like, I wonder who he's talking about, but I'm not going to call out names. But you know damn well who you are. Okay, now we went off on a little rant. This is a little bit all over the shop, isn't it? It's a little bit all over the shop, but it's time to rant. It's time to let the people know. Fuck off with your egos. Okay, let's move on a bit more lighthearted. I was talking with Brody over the weekend. Now spotters. This is an interesting one. It's sort of become synonymous with drifting. Now, at the top end, you need a spotter. I would kind of like to see, and Brody sort of put me onto this mindset because I was like, actually, I like that. No spotting, no spotters. You've just got to go out there and do what you got to do. Because most of the time, if you're in the lead and like someone had a really good chase behind you, you know it. You know it. And then vice versa, if you're chasing, you can see their lead if it was good or bad. So like, I think if you take out that portion of the motorsport, like bring it back to the driver, the sole decision. Now, I think that's the goer. I like that. I like the sounds of that. What are your thoughts? Okay, another thing I want to introduce, and this is just a funny one. There's got to be a petition for a dyno handicap. Let's get it like a dyno handicap rating, because some people are like, I got 500 horsepower, but the dyno's low down, or like vice versa. It's always funny. Like there's always something to do with dyno power figures, people doubting or whatever. So there needs to be a handicap rating. You go to a certain workshop and they're a bit on the rich side, so you've got a minus 100 horsepower from their dyno. Others, they read low, so you've got to add 100 horsepower. It'd be like a dyno Refidex of handicaps. Wouldn't that be grouse? It'd be funny as. How good was it to see our boy Oscar Piastri, P1, qualified first, put it on pole, and then absolutely flawless race there in China. I'm telling you, this isn't even Australian bias. The dude is a weapon, and he's a serious contender. So yeah, again, great to watch that unfold, see how that turns out. Jack Doohan. He's doing relatively good. I know he had a little crash in Australia there, but so did every other rookie almost. And I think that's exciting too. Hopefully putting that seat, a little bit more dominance on that seat. So that's cool to see. What else we got? Oh yeah, outline fluoro for YouTube videos. Far out. Like, can we just move on to doing something different? Everyone does it. Cut out the people, fluoro outline. What happens next? You won't believe what really goes on here. Well, hey, it's just all clickbait shit, isn't it? And I honestly reckon, like, we're at a stage now where, like, yep, that reeled everyone in, but everyone's getting over it a little bit, I think. Let's bring it back to the truth, all right? I went here and I did this. See how we go. See what happens. But yeah, outline fluoro YouTube videos. Do something different. But you got to please the algorithm. I get it. We're in a day and age where we've got to pray to the algorithm. What else can we talk about? So I just finished this book, Dick Johnson. Great read, a nice thick chunk of literature. I love reading books by motorsport bruisers. I've read a lot. Fangio. Read about 5 books on Fangio. James Hunt, Nigel Mansell, any bruiser I can get my hands on. This was an unreal read. Just provide a bit of insight to the mentality. But one thing I do want to highlight, and it's even funny because, like, if this was the case back then, and we know it's the case today, but like if this was the case back then just imagine how much worse it is today. So sorry, I'm not being antisocial. I'm scrolling to get to the quote that I took a photo of that I probably should have put in my favorites to make it easily accessible, but we will get there, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So, this is in the Dick Johnson book. PR meant nothing to me back then, and to be honest, I still don't understand the media today. My view on publicity has always been to do something good and the newspapers will take notice. I didn't know that you had to suck up to them in order to get coverage. I prefer not to do that even today. I wasn't interested in talking the talk, just walking the walk. But a bloke called John Bow would later school me on that. He was the biggest kiss ass I'd ever seen. One, that's hilarious because, yeah, JB's a bit of a steerer, a legend. But yeah, it just goes to show, back then, like, they're twisting, manipulating the media world. So what do you think's going on today? Like, it's 20-fold worse. So everyone in the comments section needs to chill the fuck out, I reckon. Well, look, to be honest, I've kind of gone through everything. I really feel like I just did that so disjointedly. So hopefully when I edit this later, you're not like, what the fuck is this dude on about? But yeah, especially that event organizer and the judges thing. Like, I'm not going to name names, but it's funny. People need to learn. You can tell a lot by someone's actions, not by their words. If you're an event organizer claiming to be about this, but then you're shit canning someone, me, who's about that, no dice, brother. No dice. Yeah, so that sounded like a little personal stab, and it was. It was. Okay, where are we heading next? The next event this weekend, we're heading to Tamworth for the Fry the Tyres drift event, burnout event, just all round brouhaha. Great to be back down in Tamworth. I haven't been there in 16 years. Last time I got absolutely polished because the boys were feeding me drinks and I was a young 17-year-old that was like, I can drink anything. Well, turns out I can't, and I ended up doing a nudie run down the main street. So hopefully we're not doing that this time and it's all above board. But yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up with Yorkie and all the boys and girls back down there. Should be unreal. Oh, Drift Collective round 2, May 17th. And on Drift Collective, let's talk about that. So as soon as it got announced, like there was a lot of Queensland or event organizer which put 2 and 2 together. And a New South Wales event organizer immediately like, fuck yeah, let's get onto this, let's do this. Like, let's just, woo, sir. Patience. Let's get walking before we get running. Okay? Let's get walking before we get running. Now, I just noticed then on Facebook there's another event, East Coast Series, and there's another, you got Glenn's East Coast Series. Like, there's just a lot going on. A lot of people chopping and changing, trying to be the man. So let's just be patient, everyone, and we'll get there. Because, again, like I said, you can tell by the actions, all right? There's people there that are doing this for their egos, not for the betterment of drifting. But they're telling everyone it's for the betterment of drifting. But deep down, their actions, it's for themselves. They want to be the man. So, again, let's just be patient, and we're going to get through this, and Australia drifting is going to boom. It is. Just everything in general is going to boom. So, yeah, just be patient, everyone. Let's get walking, and then we'll start running, okay? It doesn't all have to happen now, because that's how you get the big rickety platform, and there's no strong structure, and then it goes toppling over again. Too many times I've seen it. So, on that note, thanks for joining me, and guys and girls, we're going to be releasing merch very soon, hopefully by next week. The stock is coming through. And yeah, cheers to the years, grouse times, and more beers. Yeah, should be grouse. So that is our 15 years merch. That is about 6 months late. So it's actually now 16 years merch. But we'll get that out next week. And yeah, big thanks for all the positivity, all the comments. Yeah, that one I felt was very all over the shop. Even I thought we were going to be on fire there with me notes, but it was a little bit all over the shop, but hopefully made sense. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Love many, trust few, paddle your own canoe.
Because real bad boys move in silence.